Hello everybody, I'm Storm here. Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV Online Stormblood. In the last episode, we got a whole bunch of information about Fordola and her backstory and why she's done what she's done and kind of what it is that we're going to be doing with her. We're going to be giving her a fair trial at some point. And also trying to figure out how it is that she was granted the Echo artificially. So that's a bit of another mystery to figure out. And while we were kind of wrapping all that up, we got word from Pippin that the Sultana would like an audience with us. So we're going to be, I guess, heading over to Ul'dah to have a chat with the Sultana and see what she would like to discuss with us. Alright, so with that, go ahead and get started. So let's have a chat with Alphino and figure out what he wants to say, and then I guess we'll be off. Alphino's thoughts appear to have turned from adventure to administration. Okay. Well, the question of how to put the Mad King's treasure to good use shows no sign of answering itself. Shall we be about it, Arenvald? I am at your beck and call. And I should be getting back to my own tasks. I'll organize a squad to head down into the ruins and then start preparing for the big meeting. Oh, send Nanamo my regards, Ayame. And ours too, if you please. We shall see you on your return. Yep, I have to decide what to do with all of the treasure we discovered. So we now need to head off to Ul'dah and meet with the Sultana. Oh, let's just use this. We're going to head to the Chamber of Rule. And talk with Bartholomew. And head on in. You are expected, my lady. Please proceed. Yes.
I thank you for answering my summons in these most interesting times. You have been busy. The liberation of Alamigo will have far-reaching consequences, and there is a matter upon which I would seek your counsel. I speak of Raoban and his future. All know the tale of his rise from penniless refugee to member of the Syndicate and General of the Immortal Flames. Yet though he has come to call Ul'dah home, it will never be his homeland. He is a son of Alamigo. And now that she is free, I thought it only a matter of time before he sought my leave to return to her. Indeed, I had resigned myself to his loss. Suffice it to say, I was greatly surprised to hear him speak so lightly of handing over the reins in Alamigo and retaking his place at my side. I will welcome him with open arms, of course. He is my most trusted advisor and my dearest friend. But I have known the man a long time, and beneath that steely gaze, I spied a flicker of doubt. Whether Raoban chooses to remain in Ul'dah or return to Alamigo, I only wish that he do so with a heart unburdened by guilt or regret. Yet, how can he freely make such a choice, knowing how much I depend on him? It is past time that I learned to discharge my duties as a Sultana alone. I must go forth and see my realm with my own eyes, and hear the wind with my own ears. Might I have your company for a brief adventure? Wonderful. Allow me a moment to change into something a touch less conspicuous, and I will join you outside.
Alright, so I guess we're going to be giving the Sultana a bit of an escort as she heads out for a little trip. And I guess we are going to need to decide, well, Ralbon and everybody's going to need to decide what it is they're going to do. Speak with Nanamo outside the quicksand. Okay. Simple enough. Just walk there, it's not that far. Alright, and there is Nanamo in some less conspicuous clothing. Alright. What do you think of Lilira, the merchant's daughter? This is a disguise I don when I wish to leave the palace and observe my subjects unnoticed. Ordinarily, Papashan would accompany me, but for this particular outing, I needed an advisor, not a minder. That is why I requested your company. Over the course of your many adventures, you have met people from all walks of life, in every corner of Eorzea, and I would make use of your worldly experience. Now, let us be on our way, for our first destination is Stone's Throw, just beyond the Gate of Nald. So that should be right out here. So this is one of the refugee camps. Alright, look upon this procession of tattered tents. These refugees camp in squalor and at the mercy of the elements and Thanaland's predators both. The city's mighty walls offer safety, but the streets overflow with people as it is, and unless blessed by the hand of Nald himself, no refugee could ever hope... No refugee could ever hope to afford a dwelling in Ul'dah. 20 years have passed since the fall of Alamigo, and 5 since the calamity, yet the plight of the poor has grown more desperate, not less. As Sultana, the blame falls upon me. Let's see. Your hands have been tied. Yeah. Yes, my authority is limited, and that is an obstacle I must work to overcome. Shall we press on? I would follow the road to the unholy air. Which is up there. Okay. Alright, there is Nanamo. Alright, it was here, in this wholly unremarkable place, that my mother and father met their doom. I was but a child at the time. My parents were returning from an inspection of our interests in eastern Thanalan when an untimely rockside crushed their carriage. To this day, it is not certain if the incident was simple misfortune or an expertly planned assassination. Ralbon once offered to reopen the investigation and bring me the truth he assumed I must surely craved, but I refused. Even if my parents' deaths were orchestrated by monetarists, we could only have brought their hirelings to justice. The true villains, those who plotted to put me on the throne as a biddable puppet, were ever beyond our reach. Thus did I plan to strip the merchants of their power and place our nation in the hands of its citizens, quite unaware of the consequences my action would have for you and yours. I shudder to think how many goodly souls paid the price of my naivete. But I am no longer a child reciting words with witless obedience, and I will not be used as a pawn in the monetarists' damnable games. Forgive me my outburst, but you are one of the few people whom I feel I can speak my mind. Come, let us return to Ul'dah and visit the Colosseum. Alright, back into the city. And the Colosseum should be through there. If I remember correctly. Indeed it is. Alright. From the moment I became a Sultana, I found myself thrust into an endless parade of document signing and ceremonies. For years, I simply signed where I was told to sign and sat where I was told to sit, blissfully oblivious to what any of it meant. Yet one good thing did come from that ignominious chapter of my life, for it was during an official visit to the Colosseum that I first met Ralbon. The match I had been invited to attend was not at all what I expected. They had pitted the Bull of El Amigo against some dozen or so rival gladiators. Blinkered though I was, I would not stand for so obvious an injustice and demanded to see a fair fight. One man against another, and my royal wish was duly granted. It was not until later that I learned of the gambling ring which had arranged for Ralbon to die on the sands that day. Regardless, my intervention meant that Ralbon had but a single opponent to dispatch, which he duly did, and when he knelt before me to receive the winner's purse, he swore that he would one day offer me his blade in service. Surrounded as I was by liars and manipulators, I confess I dismissed it as a pleasant piece of theater. But as you know, Ralbon is a man of his word. Though it took him another 5 years of fighting in the blood sands, he amassed a fortune so great as to buy not only his freedom, but a seat on the syndicate, and then I had my blade.
Your Grace, you mustn't! The danger is too great! Please, Your Grace, come back! I beg of you!
It seems you're the one who needs looking after, Master Sham. Raban!
Your Grace, I have kept the promise made.
So you have, and in turn, so too shall I keep mine. With your winnings, you have become one of the 6 most wealthy souls in all Uldar. And so, as tradition dictates, Rauben Aldin, you have earned yourself a seat on the Syndicate. May your new station garner you still greater glories.
I am honored, Your Grace, and vow to serve with every fiber of my being from this day till my last. Long live the Sultana, and long live Uldar!
Alright. A little bit of the Sultana's history and Ralban's a bit there. Alright. Words cannot well express what that man means to me. There are others who care deeply for my well-being, of course. Pampashan's love for me is as that of a grandsire for his grandchild. But upon matters of governance, I cannot turn to bodyguards and maidservants for counsel. Ralban, with the authority of his syndicate position, was the first sword I could wield. His was the only edge which could cut the strings that bound me. Alright, do we want any food items? I mean, the EXP bonus is nice. Determination, vitality, and spell speed. None of those are really that necessary, so we'll take the silver pieces. Alright. So let's see what she has for us next. Alright. We must make haste. My absence will not go unnoticed by the Sultan Sworn for long, and there are other places I would visit. To the Azarenth Ossuary. Okay. I think that's the Thaumaturge's Guild? Yes. When the calamity threatened, Ralban led the Alliance forces into battle on the plains of Cartano, and I remained here. I pray with all my heart that Archon Louis Sois would have the power to rouse the 12. Since that day, I have made a custom of visiting this shrine during each of my little excursions. Here I seek the blessing of Thal, reflect upon my choices, and ask myself if I am fulfilling my duties as Sultana. You are rightly celebrated as a champion because you have led the line in 100 battles for the good of Eorzea. In much the same way, I believe the measure of a monarch lies in how she leads her people in times of adversity. If I am to be a Sultana worthy of the name, I cannot turn a blind eye to the troubles facing Ulda. I have chosen my path, Ayame. With Alamigo now freed from imperial chains, I finally see a way to aid the refugees. Already, many displaced Alamegans seek to begin the long trek home. To facilitate that process, I have made a small contribution, an artisan's school in Ralgar's Reach, for any who wish to learn new trades. Realistically, however, it will take years for such training to yield tangible benefits. But we do not have years. These people will need shelter and employment if they are to survive, and this time, the Ulda Treasury shall provide. Precisely where and how to allocate the necessary funds is, of course, another question. Let's see. Why not seek the advice of one who employs refugees? A wise suggestion. Mayhap a visit to the Gold Saucer is in order. Its proprietor is a member of the Syndicate, and he is one of the few who pay refugees a fair wage. I wonder, are you acquainted with Godbert Manderville? No, not so much. I haven't done any of the, Why is the name escaping me? There's a quest line that's kind of, I guess you could say, the comedic storyline. And the name of the character is completely escaping me right now. I guarantee that as soon as I finish recording this, it'll pop back onto my head. Like, I can picture the guy, but the name is not coming to me. Nope. Alright, whatever. Alright, oh well, he is a most generous man, is something of an eccentric. Let us make our way to the landing, and I will see that word is sent to the Gold Saucer. Godbert should be only too glad to receive us. I think I actually have unlocked access to the Gold Saucer in this character. I took care of that off screen, because it really isn't anything. You just talk to an NPC, they give you a ticket, and then you can fly there. So. See, this is the guy that begins the quest line that goes into that. And I still can't for the life of me remember the character's name. Alright, there's Nanamo. I have ridden aboard a public airship before, but this shall be my first visit to the Gold Saucer. I must confess to some excitement. I guess we'll be seeking passage to the Gold Saucer. Sure, we'll take the airship. This is the big amusement park in the game. There's all kinds of little side games and things like that to do in here. Alright, I had heard descriptions of its splendor, but yet I never dreamed it would be so bright and inviting. No, I couldn't possibly. We did not come here to fritter away the royal coin. Godbert will be expecting us. Come, let us head directly to the lounge and ignore these gaudy temptations. There's a bunch of glamour stuff you can get in here. New hairstyles. Pieces of glamourable gear. All kinds of stuff in here. I believe we're going to have to head upstairs. Alright, there she is. I believe this is where we're to meet Lord Mandeville. Shall we sit while we await his coming? My apologies, Your Grace. I have kept you waiting. No apologies necessary, Godbert. My request was sudden, and you were kind to make yourself available at such short notice. When the Sultana herself comes calling, there's no more important engagement. As to the purpose of my visit, I would have your thoughts on how the Crown might best aid the refugees residing in Thanalan. You are aware, I am sure, that many of Alamigo's displaced sons and daughters long to return to their newly liberated homeland, and you are also aware of how they will suffer without shelter and work to sustain them. I would use our nation's wealth to spare them that suffering. What advice have you for me on the matter of how it might best be distributed? The unusual circumstances of our meeting, and your Grace's choice of companion, would suggest to me a desire for an honest and unvarnished opinion. I shall give you one. My advice to you is stop. Taxing Ulda's wealth to save Alamigan refugees is a terrible, terrible idea. You oppose my proposition? Most emphatically. I agree with your Grace that the refugees must have housing and employment. What profit is there for Ulda in this arrangement? Profit? After all you have done for Girabania's displaced, I thought you the very last person to seek to benefit from their misfortune. Forgive me, Your Grace, but you appear to be laboring under a misapprehension. It is a fine endeavor to support one's fellow man. I fear, however, that your stance is one born of pity. Your intent is to save the refugees, is it not? For all our potential, we are indolent creatures by nature. If unconditional charity is all we know, then we begin to rely upon it, to expect it. And then we must consider Ulda's own poor and downtrodden. Should they hear of you spending the nation's coin, not to improve their lot, but to nurture the distant citizens of Alamigo, it is unlikely they will applaud your generosity. Surely it is not your Grace's intention to foster new resentments, but to spread goodwill? Indeed, that any support I pledge to the refugees must promote self-sufficiency, while also serving the interests of the people of Ulda. Exactly so. Such an arrangement will create a far more equitable relationship with the returning Alamegans, even as it generates the revenue required to win the approval of your subjects. You have given me much to ponder, Lord Mandeville. Thank you for your candor. Oh, right. We need to talk to Nanamo for the next stage of the quest. Alright. Prophet. The thought never even crossed my mind. But saying about lamenting my naivete will not do anyone any good. I shall consider my lesson learned and press on. Ayame, are you perchance acquainted with any successful merchants? If my attempt at philanthropy is obliged to reap a profit, it would seem wise to consult someone with a knack for the business. Ordinarily, I would not trust my agent, or any agent of the East Alinar Trading Company, but if you hold this Hancock fellow in high esteem, I am content to be led by you. You may repay my faith by journeying to distant Kugane and speaking with him on my behalf. Eager though I am to visit those shores, I have not the leisure for a lengthy sea voyage. Now, assuming you will travel as adventurers are wont to do, I shall await your report by the Aetherite in Ulda. A fair journey to you, Ayame, and a swift one, if you please. Alright, so we're off to Kagane to talk to Hancock. And Yes. Finding a way to aid the refugees by giving them jobs, while at the same time creating a revenue stream for the government, or for the nation as a whole, would be mutually beneficial for all sides. So, we'll see what we eventually come up with. So, we're actually at the end of the episode here. So I think we'll stop here. It's a good place. When we come back, we'll head off to Kugane, have a chat with Hancock, and see what ideas we might come up with for how to accomplish what the Sultana has in mind. Alright, but for now, we'll end here, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you next time.